first rule in grip sport is you tell everyone about grip sport.
Crushing, pinch grip, thick bar, wrists.
If the best guy in the world can't lift 100 pounds on it, I don't give a shit about it.
All right, back with another recap. So this competition took place July 13th, which is probably roughly the same time we were doing the Greenville Grab down in South Carolina. Back again, Jaland Worley, Dubya Grip. A lot of you know. So yeah, he hosted his your first competition, correct? Just
right.
I mean, as a host, obviously you've been competing a ton recently. So yeah, he hosted his first competition that same day, and there were some big lifts pulled out there. So yeah, we're just going to kind of give you guys a rundown about the origin of the competition, how it kind of got started up, and what went down. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, Jaland, do you have anything you want to kind of start off with? Just maybe what made you want to host the competition and how it came about?
Yeah, sure. So this is something I've wanted to do for a while. There's kind of a growing scene out here in Colorado, Wyoming, this part of the country. Steve Millard always runs a couple of competitions up in the mountains, which are fun. We have a gym in Cheyenne, Wyoming. They've started a yearly grip thing that they do called the Rolling Hills Grip Challenge. So I wanted to do something to kind of represent a different part of the state or area out here, more in the metro area. But I wasn't quite sure how to go about doing that. And then a friend of mine, Brandon Barratt, he has a powerlifting strongman gym in Colorado Springs, and he had competed at one of the competitions in Wyoming. That's where we met, and he just approached me out of the blue about 2 months ago and was like, "Hey, we should do a grip comp at my gym." He's like, "We'll use my facility. We can put your name on it. You can pick the events. You can run the whole thing, and we'll just kind of collaborate on it." And yeah, I thought it was a really good idea, so we just went with it. And we're like 6 weeks notice. How many people are we actually going to get to show up? How's this actually going to go? But we thought it was a worthwhile experiment anyway. We ended up having 15 people show up with 6 weeks notice.
That's a good turnout. I mean, for most grip competitions, that's like I said, especially if it's kind of like a single venue local. Yeah, getting 15 people there is pretty good, and doing it on short notice is even more impressive. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, so we had many people who had never done anything grip before just kind of show up, whether they had a friend or a relative or they trained at Brandon's gym. We had people come out and try it for the first time, and then we also had Sarah Chappelow out there, so world champion many times over. So we had a wide range of experience there. It was really cool. Kind of the core group here in Colorado and Wyoming were there, and then we have the newer people, and I think we did a good job in exposing newer people to the sport and grew our scene a little bit bigger out here. So it was a good time.
Yeah, because we know that like Steve Millard has been doing stuff like you mentioned, and I mean there's a lot of good grip people out that way. But I kind of see what you mean. It's also, once you get out west, the states are like really huge as well. Things get pretty spread out. So, even though you might be in the same state as somebody, you're still traveling a decent amount, or you're maybe not getting as many people involved as you could. So kind of, I don't know, just, popping up different venues or running different stuff. I think it'll be good. And we've seen this with a lot of different competitions in areas lately where just stuff has been really kind of, well, like I said, just the one in South Carolina. I mean, you got some guys there that, hey, got same thing, basically kind of a grip guy and a strongman competitor type thing. And boom, they teamed up, ran an event. You're kind of doing something very similar in Colorado. And I mean, those are like within the same weekend, we pretty much had two, first time like debut competitions that have plans to kind of keep moving on in the future and hosting in the future, I assume. So, it's just cool to see the sport grow, and it's good that you're, as much as you've been traveling and kind of putting in the time yourself as a competitor, it's cool that you're taking the time to kind of host and build something as well there. So, man, we can just jump into whatever aspect you want with the competition. I mean, we can just kind of break down what the events were or how you came about, choosing the events.
Yeah. So the events, we had 5 events. I wanted to just cover all the bases. So I wanted to do things that I enjoyed, and my favorite events, so I could share those with my friends and the new people that were coming. So had to have a gripper event, right? I mean, that's my thing. So we did 30 millimeter grippers, which ended up being really cool because in South Carolina they also did 30 millimeter grippers. So I didn't do that in response to them. It was just I hadn't seen that contested in a while, and I know that up in Maine here in a couple of weeks, 20 millimeter grippers are going to be contested. So I thought it'd be cool to do the 30, and then maybe next year we'll do the 20. I don't know. I have lots of time to plan for next year, much more than 6 weeks like I had for this one. So anyway, we did the grippers. We also did the 3-inch napalm pinch blocks. We did Apollon's axle, the Iron Mine axle for double overhand deadlift, mini inch pinch, the 2-inch vertical bar. The fixed vertical bar. So lots of good stuff there. Kind of covered all the bases at grip.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a solid lineup. And I think that what we've really seen, this is kind of a side note real quick, but yeah, I think what we've seen probably within the last year. Now, normally at nationals or something, there would be like a gripper event, but what I would normally see outside of a nationals or setting like that, a lot of times these like individual competitions wouldn't really contest grippers very much. But what we're starting to see now within the last year, in my opinion, is grippers used to be kind of like a staple kind of back in the day, and I think it's almost sort of made a comeback now because I'm just seeing a lot more grippers, being contested, whether it's 20 or 30 millimeter, whatever. I feel like I'm seeing it more in the last year than maybe the prior 2 to 3 years before that. It seemed like it was almost obsolete. And you can look at how outdated some of the gripper lists probably are, and in certain weight class or certain things, but yeah, so I think it's good event selection, and good that you kind of are, I don't know, keeping some of the traditional lifts in there, but then also kind of branching out and adding some new stuff too. So, no, man, like I said, that's good stuff. And how did you want to start with breaking down, like your results or highlights? I guess.
Why don't we talk about the standings, just where people ended up, and then we can go into. There were lots of records broken across in weight classes and overall world records. So I think let's talk about the standings, give credit to the people there, and then we can talk about the individual performances.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine, man. Yeah, we can get into that. So yeah, did you want to start with like I said, you can break it down however you want. I have the sheet with me, but yeah, you could break down. I mean, who kind of placed what weight classes, or how you divided stuff up, and then from there we'll go to the lifts. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we had 10 men, 5 women. We'll start with the women. So everyone was kind of, with the exception of one competitor, the women were all in the open heavyweight class with Sarah. So Sarah took home first place. No surprise there. She killed it. Kelsey Sherman took second. She's newer to the sport. She started training at that gym in Colorado Springs, and then she came out to Rolling Hills in Wyoming and did the grip competition there for her first one. And she's totally hooked. She's getting involved in the community. So I think we're going to see more of her, and she's really strong and she's motivated. So I think we'll see her name pop up more in some of the women's competitions. And then third place, I believe, was Kayla Witt. Is that what I have there on the list?
Oh yeah, it looks like it for the women's open.
So she was new, and she did great. All the ladies did great. And then her sister is younger, and she did really great. She has a little bit of developmental disability, but she still came out and brought it, and she had a couple of really impressive axle pulls. And she had a great time, and it was just fun being around her. She had great energy. She's a real sweetheart. So it was nice to have her there. And then what we did for her, I'll give a shout out to Nemesis Grips, but they sponsored our event. And so what we decided to do was I gave Kayla and Haley a card to go look up Nemesis website. And Haley can pick out anything she wants from Nemesis Grips. And between me and Nemesis and Brando, we got it covered. so she can have like
Yeah.
some grip stuff at home to kind of get
That's cool.
excited to play with.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. That was the highlight of the event for me, was having her there, because it's it's a brand new thing. You never done it before. It's like pretty brave to get up there and do that. So it was pretty inspiring to see that.
And then
So
you're good. Yeah, sorry, I was just looking at the same thing. And then basically, that would mostly, like I said, I mean, you had 5 women competitors there. That would probably wrap that up. And then, we could just run through the men's podiums or standings, however. Like I said, however you'd like to do that too, that's fine.
So we divided up like the 120 plus. We were all together, and then we had a 120 and several 105s, and then we had a 66 and a 74 kilogram competitors.
Okay.
So we lumped the lighter weight guys together, Jesse Hagedorn and Jonathan Hamrick. We divided them up into a group together. And then the 120 and the 105s, we put them together. And then the big guys, we were all together. So really impressive performance from Jesse Hagedorn. He was in 66 kg class, and he broke his own record on the axle. He pulled 315, which is pretty ludicrous given his body weight. He's a rock climber, so he's freaky strong. He's got that tendon strength that we see in all the rock climbers in the sport. He set the 66 kilogram record for the mini inch pinch because there wasn't one, but he also beat the 74 and the 83 kilogram class records for mini inch pinch as well. So I think he lifted 45 pounds. I don't have my list in front of me, but
yes, it's 45. Yep.
Yeah, 45. So that was good. I don't even think he'd ever touched it before. So that was pretty impressive. He did great. So, and then we grouped him and Jonathan together, and he took first place in their lighter weight class. It's always great competing with him. I hope he gets out and does some more competition. I think he showed up. He was either at the Olympia or the Arnold. I can't remember, but
he was at the Olympia. Because we lifted. So I mean, I remember him doing the medley and pulling like a really like ridiculous number of reps on whatever weight they had set up. I think it was the Raptor handle. I think Raptor medley. But I remember him pulling like 20, almost 30 reps on something. It was like, man, maybe they should have reconfigured those weights. But he's super strong. Good lifter.
Yeah, he's a great competitor, a really nice guy too. So I was glad he made it. And then if we go to our kind of 120, 105 class that we grouped together, Steve Millard took home first there. He put in a great performance. Unfortunately, he tore his biceps pretty bad on the B-bar, which comes with the territory of lifting that thing. But he ended up, I think he pulled 274 the weight that he tore the bicep on, it was a good lift. So he at least got credit for the lift.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's good.
We knew when it happened, and he turned about as white as a sheet. It's a weird thing. Luckily the plates were clanking, so I didn't hear it. But he said it was like an audible pop. So
man, yeah.
We got him put in a makeshift sling and kind of lifted his spirits a little bit, and then like 20 minutes later, he's out in the parking lot lifting the engine dumbbell.
I saw that video. Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
So he'll be fine. I wish him a speedy recovery, and I hate that somebody got hurt at my competition, but I told him, I was like, I kind of played up how brutal the 2-inch V-bar lift is, and it's like you tore your biceps to prove how hardcore of an event it is. So thanks, bud.
Like I said, it can happen. I just did that Q&A with Chaz and Ben, and we got to one question where someone was asking about lower injury rate lifts and stuff like that, and we kind of just flipped it like, well, let's talk about the stuff that's dangerous. And it was like V-bar, solid V-bar was one of the things we mentioned, and like other stuff we went into detail. But yeah, and that was the thing, because like in grip, usually it's finger pulleys and bicep tendons. That's usually your most common injury, or serious injury. There's other lesser stuff maybe. But hope Steve gets to feeling better. Was that V-bar the last lift of the day?
It was. So he tore it
at the end,
on the last lift of the day.
Wow, man. Yeah, that sucks. Because I was just wondering, because I'm like, man, if that was like event 2 or 3, man, he's slinged up, having to, go through everything else. That'd be tough to,
Yeah.
basically just go through and win your class with one arm. But
that was part of my motivation of having it be last, just in case somebody did pull something. I didn't expect anyone to tear anything, but that lift, like the first time I ever did it, I think I ended up pulling like 318, and I didn't feel it in my biceps, but I thought my chest was going to go.
Yeah.
Because I'm flexing so hard, right? So I probably could have done more weight, but it was like I felt I was in the danger zone. So it is a sketchy lift, but I love it so much just because it's picking something 2 inches off the ground. It's just like raw power, right? So I had to include it. Will I do it next year? Probably not. But,
okay.
we'll see. I don't want my competition to develop a reputation of a place where people get hurt, but I also wanted to kind of be, hey, like this is serious stuff. We're not just goofing around out here playing tiddlywinks.
No, I get it, man. And this is just another side note on that. Not saying it's a good thing. Obviously, someone getting injured is not a good thing. But if you had to pick somebody at your competition, at least you know that Steve is not going to be like running away from the sport because of it or something like that. It's a veteran lifter that, is familiar with that, knows the game and knows what's going on versus like if you had some person trying it for their first time and just boom, their bicep rolls up and you're like, oh, okay, that's someone that's probably not coming back or doing grip again, So like I said, you don't want anybody to get injured, but at least the injury was somebody that is going to be able to handle it and then bounce back. And you kind of know that they're able to overcome that. So
yeah, and in the rules meeting that we did before the event, I made a point to take the new people aside and be like, listen, you can lift this thing supinated, but I'm warning you, like you're playing with fire. It's like it's better to pronate, protect your biceps, and do it that way till you get a feel for it. But then Steve was like, no, I was fully supinated. I knew what I was doing. So he at least acknowledged that he set himself up for it. But he wanted a big number. He got it. So good for him.
Yeah.
But I wish him a speedy recovery. But he tore it. He still won. He still lifted the inch dumbbell in a sling. It's a badass video.
No, it's a classic video. Yeah, we got to make sure that stays out there, get some attention.
Yeah, so maybe I'll send it to you and you can put it at the end of this so people can see it if they didn't.
No, that's a good idea, man. I'm down for that.
Yeah, and want to give him his kudos to him for doing that because that was cool to see. So Steve won that weight class. Brando Barratt, my co-promoter, he took second, and then Sanjeev Gupta took third. Sanjeev is a great guy in the community. He's come out to most of the stuff that we do out here. He's super into it. He's super supportive. So he'll probably watch this. So I want to make sure I give him a shout out. Really appreciate him coming out and supporting everybody and doing. He brings it, man. He lifts hard. He tries hard.
Is he a Colorado-based lifter as well? Okay, I've seen some of his training videos, but I wasn't sure, where he was located at.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where he lives, but yeah, he's out here. Okay. So he's getting more involved in the community. So I think it's good. I'm happy that everybody came out, but I was really, especially happy to see him come out and support what we were doing. So that wraps up and then there was a new lifter in the 120 class. He didn't podium, but his name is Conrad Sherman. He's Kelsey Sherman's brother. It was his first time doing anything grip. His sister kind of like challenged him to come out, and she was kind of like, I'm going to beat you, on some of these lifts.
Yeah.
And it was cool to watch them have the interplay together, brother and sister at the competition. But he loved it. He took home some stuff. I gave him an Arm Assassin gift card because Luke sponsored us. So he and Kelsey are going to start building out more of a collection of grip implements. So hope to see him in the future as well.
Yep.
So it was cool to see someone brand new who'd never done anything before come out. So that wraps up that class. And then if we go to the super heavyweight 120 class, it was a lifter by the name of Clint Cook. Very strong guy. Hope to see more of him in the community. He just got over a torn triceps. He was doing like a circus dumbbell press, and he hit like a beam in the ceiling when he pushed up and tore.
Wow.
So I think this was his first group event since he did that, and he did great. I don't think he podiumed, but he was with me to the very end of the mini inch pinch. and he'd never done it before, and I think he ended up pulling like 58 pounds or something like that on it. So that was cool. And then Michael Thomas, many of you who are watching will know who he is. He gave me $50 to give to the person who won the mini inch pinch event, because he really cares about the key pinch stuff. I did win that event, but I wasn't going to take any of the prizes as the event promoter. So Clint took home that money from Michael Thomas, which was cool. So so I wanted to make sure that I recognize people who were sponsoring. Iron Mine also sponsored us. They gave gift cards for the best axle pool, but I just want to make sure I mention the sponsors before I forget. So
yeah, for sure.
So Clint, while he didn't podium, he still did well on that mini inch pinch, and we'll see more of Clint in the future. And I think more people will start to see his name pop up in the grip community as well, because he's a super strong guy. So then the podium for the super heavyweight, I won because I had to win the event with my name on it, right? The first time.
Right.
That would have been embarrassing. It was cool to do that. And then Jeremy Everding and Colton Storm, two of my really good friends out here, we're always battling whenever we lift. They're in everything that I go to out here. So they rounded out the podium with me. It was cool to share that with them. They did really great. It's a great time. And so that's kind of it for the standings. And then now I guess did you have anything you wanted to add or anything?
No, like I said, man, that sounds good. I mean, it's just the fact that like you were able to have, like I said, 15 lifters show up, some experienced people, new people, introducing new people to the sport. You also had a pretty good mix of, 10 men's competitors and then 5 women's competitors. Cause that's something that can be hard sometimes is, I don't know. We all have seen this in different competitions. Now, obviously on the bigger stage or more established things, the female signups are, you usually will see more of it, but on these like, just starting out in a local area, first time doing it, it can be tough sometimes to get that participation. I mean, if you're just a guy that's, lifting and traveling and competing, it's like, if you're not like in some strongman gym or you're not somewhere where know these people, it's like, well, how do you just reach out to people like, hey, you're talking to like random women, like, hey, you just want to do this grip thing? It's like, no, for the most part, it's usually a no, but yeah, unless you're in a strength circle. So, I'd just like to point out that like you had a very good balance of women's lifters, men's lifters, experience, just kind of covering the whole spectrum there. So that's always great for a first competition or any competition. So, yeah, that's good. And like you said, I've started to become a little bit more familiar with Jeremy and Colton just from I think seeing the Colorado based like the Rolling Hills, the stuff that Steve has hosted. I think that's where I've kind of been introduced to them and kind of started seeing some of their stuff. So it's good that you got some bigger, strong people out there that are kind of pushing you as well, or they're trying to climb up and pull some big lifts. But yeah, no, we could get into kind of the different records that were broken, or just kind of highlight some of those bigger moments. I know we probably touched on a couple of them, but yeah, we could go in detail and kind of just hit those real quick.
Cool. Before we do that, one other thing, Canon PowerWorks also sponsored us. So I don't want to leave any of the sponsors out because it was very cool to have. He sent like a beginner gripper set, so I handed that out to a couple of the people who really showed the interest in the grippers. So appreciate that. Canon is doing great stuff for the community. And then just one thing about Colorado in general, Brian Shaw is hosting the Shaw Classic again out here. And this time Armlifting USA is putting on a pro stage and an open armlifting event there. I think that's going to do a lot to grow the sport out here. So I'll be competing in the open. I didn't quite make the cut for the pro, but I still get to do Brian's blob medley, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be cool to see how everybody does on that. But I'm very excited about the fact that Brian is still trying to get more exposure to grip and do more with grip. And I think partnering with Ricardo and Armlifting USA is going to go a long way in helping with that. And then maybe for next year's Dubs Grip Classic, I'll have 30 people. I might have to run 2 platforms or 2 days, who knows? But
anyway, I can see that happening.
We got a growing scene out here in Colorado. So if you think you're strong, come out here and show us what you're made of.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I don't think that's out of the question. I think it's going to start getting, we're already seeing it get bigger and bigger, but yeah, once you start putting it in front of more eyes and bigger settings, you're bound to start, getting, yeah, I don't know. You're going to attract new lifters. You're going to attract new people to the sport. So,
Yeah,
and
totally.
by them seeing it maybe at the Shaw Classic, oh, hey, there's one of those competitions by me, and you're the guy running it. So yeah, you'll probably get, especially with all that time and planning, I wouldn't be surprised to see the numbers double or have it turn into a big competition. So
Yep.
yeah, you just keep going.
Cool.
You're good.
Cool. So yeah, I just wanted to call that out. So now we can go into some of the individual performances. Talked about a couple with the mini inch pinch and stuff, but really want to call out Sarah. She had some monster lifts on the day. The biggest one was her 2-inch V bar.
Yeah.
The record going into it was 187, which I think Jen Tivenham had. Sarah put up 239.
Yeah.
Which is pretty outrageous. Steve did 274, and that was the biggest lift. Steve and I tied at 274. I went for a big one, but I missed. But yeah, so Sarah had one of the biggest lifts of the day out of everybody, including the men.
Yeah.
Crazy impressive. As always, she's working really hard. So I wanted to call that out and give her credit for that. She also did well in the mini inch pinch. What's the weight on the list there? I want to get it right.
It says here that she did 45 pounds and that the old record was 36.
Yep, that's right. So that was really cool to see. And then she also set what I think is going to be the 30 millimeter women's record, 83 RGC, but she tried for 116, and then I think she tried again for like 106 or something, and she just barely missed both of those. So she ended up with the 83 just to get something on the board. But I do want to call out her effort because she was super close on the 116. I mean, it was millimeters away.
Yeah.
So yeah, she did great. I think it was cool for the newer lifters, not just the women, just everyone there to be kind of in her presence and see what she's doing. Because it's like the 2-inch V bar, and even with her performance on the grandfather clock and stuff at the Armlifting USA events, like you watch her and some of what she's doing doesn't make any sense. Like you're looking at it and you're like, this doesn't make sense. Like her wrist wrench at North American Championship was 90 something pounds.
Yeah, good wrist wrench. And then I was going to say, even at North Americans, I mean, her little bighorn. I mean, granted, that's still in that vertical category, but yeah, no, she's pulling big lifts really about anything she touches. Yep. I mean, pretty good stuff.
Yep. So, yeah, as impressive as always. I want to give her credit where it's due. So she did a great job. Jesse Hagedorn, we mentioned, he had a big axle pull. He extended his record by 6 pounds with 315, which was great. He set the record for the inch pinch with 45 pounds as well, the mini inch pinch. And then his gripper was what he ended up with. You have the list there.
Yeah, it says 116. So he closed to 116, and the prior, I guess, 66 kg record would have been 104 RGC gripper. So 116 now being the record he set, and the past one was 104.
Yep.
So
yeah, and he doesn't even train grippers, so that's pretty impressive for him just to be able to kind of pick that up. And I think he started really low, and then he came back and was like, give me like a 20-pound heavier gripper. It was like, all right. And then he smashed it. So, so Jesse did great. Pound for pound, just super impressive. He's up there. It's like lifted with Yves Gravel up in Canada. It's that same kind of thing. You see him, and it's these guys are almost unassuming their strength, and then you watch them lift, and it's like these guys are just total monsters.
Well, you see that with, I mean, like, especially like I said, the climbers, man. It's, I mean, you're just working everything in your hands and hanging and moving your body. I mean, just pulling in all these weird positions. You're hitting so many different things. So yeah, I don't say it's a cheat code, but yeah, it almost is for climbers to, transition into grip sport. It's pretty wild because they already almost have a natural foundation or base built in, and they haven't even touched the stuff yet. So
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So super impressive performance by him. And then, I don't want to dwell on these too much, but I did set 2 myself. So the 30 millimeter gripper, I did close 185 RGC. I probably had a little more in me, probably around 195 if I really wanted to go all out. But
Yeah.
I was more focused on getting the 3-inch napalm block record because I was pretty upset about that at North Americans. So I had missed like 307 or something. But as soon as it touched the crossbar was just enough weight to rip it out of my hand. So Jason Dingy had the same thing happen to him. So I kind of saw it as unfinished business. So that was part of the reason why this event was in the lineup. So I did a lift at 302 and got it, and it felt pretty light, and I had a big adrenaline rush. So we put 5 more pounds on, and it was like 307.9 or 308, it's somewhere around there. I got that, was able to lift that, so that felt really good, and happy to extend that record. And the next time Ben gets around to wanting to lift those, I'm sure he'll add 30 pounds to it, and then I'll have to go back to the drawing board.
We just talked to him. I was talking to him yesterday. We were kind of ragging on him for not getting out and competing as much, or kind of just just I don't know, just kind of hanging out and being content doing his training. But yeah, it's nice when people are pushing records forward, because I don't know. I mean, if somebody is maybe unmotivated, maybe at some point in time, it kind of circles back around and they're like, oh, okay, maybe I will come back. And, you get some back and forth battles going. So I think it's always cool. Anytime records get set on any lift, just because that's just progress, and that's almost holding everybody else accountable. And now everybody has to kind of raise to that standard, or that's the new thing, So, I think it's awesome. And we'll have to see if we can lure Ben out somehow and get him doing some more stuff. But congrats to you, man, on setting both those records. And, I know you don't want to necessarily brag on yourself, in a video about your own competition. So, I'll at least, congratulate you, on your records, and, not only running a successful competition, but, setting records yourself while you're also doing that, which isn't an easy task. So,
thank you.
Congrats to you. But like I said, it's great turnout, very well balanced competition, cool events, multiple records set. Is there anything that you would have changed? Because it seems like that went about as good as it could have, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I would have changed Steve getting hurt if I could have done that. 5 events we weren't there all day. We got out faster than I thought we would, so the pace was pretty good. But 5 events is kind of pushing it a little bit. So I think next year we'll probably do 4. And some of the feedback I got was like, the grippers were fun, but like as a spectator, it's not the best thing, because it's like, unless everyone's facing, you're facing the crowd with the gripper and they're all in your face, but then it's like that adds a whole bunch of pressure and kind of uncomfortable to have so many people like up in what you're trying to do. So if I do grippers again next year, I'm going to experiment with like either a camera, like a GoPro strapped to my hat or my chest, to where you can see what the judge is seeing without getting in the way.
Yeah, you got like a referee's cam.
Yeah, and then have that project on a larger screen so everyone in the room can watch the screen and maybe get an up close view of the gripper. I don't know. I'm going to play around with that, trying to make it more interactive and exciting, because I do like the idea of having a gripper contest, but I also don't want to, kill the vibe and slow things down too much. So I have a year to plan, though, so I think I can come up with something to balance it out. But I think that'd be the only thing that I would change, is just kind of do better on that gripper event and make it a little more fun for everybody, even while you're watching. And then, maybe get out of the building maybe an hour sooner. But because it was a really hot day. But luckily, Brandon had a lot of big fans, and, the building was pretty well insulated. It didn't get nobody seemed miserable, but man, it was still hot in the middle of July to be lifting. But we want to do it the same time next year. So, maybe we'll make sure we have more cold drinks and stuff like that. Just little things like that you'll pick up on. But overall, it went as well as it could have for something that you planned with 6 weeks notice and had never done before. So I was pretty pleased with how everything went and how patient everybody was and how helpful everybody was. I wasn't the only one changing plates. Brando's wife helped keep score, so I didn't have to think about that. I could just judge lifts, instruct people. I didn't have to think about a lot of that stuff. So it was a really good collaborative effort with Brando in his gym there in Colorado Springs. And I'm really happy he approached me with the idea, because I'm the type of person that if I want to do something like this, I'm going to try to plan it out like perfectly before it's even a real thing. And then I'll get an analysis paralysis where I never get it off the ground. So for him just to be like, hey, let's do this and just see how it goes. That was kind of the push I needed to try to do something. So yeah, we'll do it again next year. I want to try to help, maybe if we can get some sponsors or just more sponsors or far enough in advance. I want to try to even like maybe fly out a couple of bigger names. Like I've talked to, he hasn't committed to it, but I've kind of talked to Carl a little bit about coming out to Colorado and lifting with us. So maybe trying to help Carl get out here. I think it'd be a real treat for everybody to compete with him and meet him and lift with him. So I've thought about, helping get some bigger names out and really do some special stuff out here. I got a lot of ideas, but we will do it again next year. And, I want everyone to try to come out if you can, because it's a good time.
Okay. Yeah, man. And another thing too, with the show, I mean, I've been sponsoring some competitions here recently, just doing different stuff, but yeah, this one I kind of missed. Everybody's busy. I was, running around competing and stuff, but yeah, man, next year, if we have time, with having time to plan it and stuff, about a year out, yeah, I have no problem, trying to sponsor as many competitions as possible. So I'll jump in and do something as well for the next one, but yeah, man, that was my biggest thing. Was I just was wondering if you change anything, because like I said, on paper and kind of just hearing about it, it's like, man, that's about all you can hope for a competition first time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but what's the next competition for you? Is that going to be the Shaw Classic?
Yep.
That you're competing at? Okay.
I'll be doing the Shaw. Really looking forward to that. I would have liked to have been on the pro stage, but I fully understand why. There was there was a list of 12 people, and then they had to cut it in half. And I'm just straight up not good enough. Like those guys are better. So I understand. But I'm pretty motivated to really show up for the blob medley and do something special, even if it's on the open competition. So training blob's hard. I got that Shaw blob. I got air under it the other day. So, it'll be cool to do that leading up to the Shaw class. Hopefully I get it done before, and it'll be kind of a cool
we've got about a month left. So about 4 weeks.
Yeah. I think I'll get it done, but yeah, the Shaw's the next one. I'm excited to see who's going to come out for the open, because it's kind of a newer one and kind of last minute as well.
It's kind of short notice, because I mean, I like the idea of it and everything, but also just like 5-6 weeks notice, just picking up and flying out to Colorado for me is like, I maybe not the most highest percentage chance of me making it, but yeah, it will be interesting to kind of see who makes the trip and what those weight classes kind of look like, because it is tied to a bigger event and there is potential there. But like you mentioned, you never know sometimes. Some weight classes can kind of get a little shallow just on something short notice, or like I said, I hope it has a good turnout and I hope everything goes well with it. But yeah, I would just be curious to see in the open who you'd have to go against or what that's going to look like. So I guess find out when you get there. But yeah, I'm definitely interested for that one. So yeah, maybe we can do another show whenever it's wrapped up or something and kind of see. Yeah, I don't know who else is going. I could interview them too. But yeah, if you wanted to do something as kind of a wrap up for that too, maybe we'll just get some insight from you, making the trip, and whoever else goes, maybe we'll make a show out of that. So
yeah, I think some of the pro guys are people you've had on the show before. So I think you can have a pretty good panel for a wrap up. So yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Okay. Yeah. Because and I'm not even gonna go into it, but I was gonna talk about because Dave did really well last year. Dave LeBay. So he did really well last year, and right after he had won both those events, I was kind of talking to him to get him on the show, and we just never really worked a timeout or anything like that. But I still plan on getting him, back involved in whatever else. So yeah, that just reminded me that last year's Shaw Classic, when they kind of did a little grip thing going on. I was trying to get some stuff done, but there's plenty of stuff, and I might even do one with the pro guys, or do one for the open too, or I might just try to merge it. I'll come up with something, but
Sure.
But yeah, like I said, I don't want to drag it out too long on you and or take too much shine away from your competition because there's other stuff happening, you know. But yeah, but no, man, hey, thanks again for just taking the time, you know, running the competition and everything, and putting the sport out there in front of more people. And that's part of what this show is too. Is just I'm trying to, you know, cover these competitions, let people know what's going on, and yeah, just we're all kind of trying to do our part and build it. So yeah, just like I said, thanks for taking the time to join this and let people know what was going down. And
Yeah.
best of luck in the future running it too. You might have to shorten it to 4 events because you might have double the people there and you're still going to be there all day or something, you know? So, but yeah, man, other than that, I'll give you a last word or anything you want to say. And, yeah, we can kind of just wrap up from there.
Yeah. I just want to say anybody who's watching, who's kind of in the Rocky Mountain region, you know, between Wyoming, Carbondale, Colorado Springs, and, you know, there's really no excuse to not get out and find an event that's close to you. So reach out to me, reach out to Steve Millard, Brando Barratt, any of us, and, you know, we can definitely try to help accommodate, you know, with the schedule of something or whatever. We want to facilitate these events for as many people as we can, because the more people do it, the bigger the sport grows, the better. You know, we're seeing it with Armlifting USA. Ricardo's just finding these monster lifters out there when he's doing these clinics. So, you know, if there's anybody in this area, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, whatever, you know, get involved. You know, don't be shy. Let us know you're out there. We can set something up to get you some experience and just exposure to the sport. All
right, man. Well, like I said, thanks again for coming on the show, and yeah, we'll stay in touch on that Shaw Classic stuff, and yeah, best of luck there as well.
Cool. Thanks, bud.
All right. Yep. Wrap that up.